Ex-girlfriend disguises herself as a cleaner, but when he leaves the house, she does the unthinkable. Jennifer trembled as she held the cleaning cloth, knowing every move in that house could reveal her true identity. 3 years had passed since she was kicked out, accused of a betrayal she never committed, and now she was back disguised as a cleaner in one last attempt to clear her name. When Michael left for work every morning, she searched every corner of the house for evidence that could prove her innocence. The man who once promised to marry her had no idea the humble woman cleaning his home was the same one he had loved for 5 years. "Good morning, Mrs. Johnson," Michael said that Tuesday morning, using the fake name she had given when applying for the job. "Ashley will be arriving early today, so finish cleaning the living room before 2. "Yes, Mr. Michael," she replied, keeping her eyes down and her voice disguised with the southern accent she had practiced for weeks. As soon as she heard the gate close and the car drive away, Jennifer rushed to the office. That was where Michael kept his important documents, and she was certain she'd find something to prove her innocence. Her hands shook as she opened the drawers, searching for any paper, any clue that could explain how those compromising photos had appeared on her phone 3 years ago. Her heart raced when she found a folder with her name. Inside were copies of the same photos that had ruined her life, but also other documents she had never seen. They were printed conversations from a messaging app, exchanges between Michael and someone whose name was blurred. "My God," she whispered, trying to decipher the erased words. The messages showed someone convincing Michael that she had been unfaithful, sending the photos as proof. But who would do such a thing? Who hated her enough to destroy her life like this? A noise at the front door made her quickly put everything back. It was Ashley, Michael's current girlfriend, arriving early as he had warned. Jennifer hurried to the living room, grabbing the cleaning supplies and pretending to work normally. "It shouldn't take this long to clean a simple room," Ashley grumbled, tossing her purse onto the sofa Jennifer had just straightened. "I hope you're faster than the last one." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us newcomers. Now continuing. Ashley was a woman with blonde hair and always perfect nails, the complete opposite of what Jennifer had become in those 3 years of hardship. As she cleaned around her, Jennifer studied every detail, trying to understand how this woman had won over the man who was once hers. "Do you have family here in Atlanta, Mrs. Johnson?" Ashley asked suddenly, not looking up from her phone. "No, ma'am. I came from the countryside to work," Jennifer replied, feeling cold sweat run down her back. Ashley murmured, but something in her tone suggested suspicion. "Michael says you clean very well. Where did you learn?" "From my mother, ma'am. She was always very meticulous. It was a lie." Jennifer had learned professional cleaning over the last 3 years when she had to fend for herself after losing everything, but Ashley didn't need to know that. Ashley's phone rang, and Jennifer pretended to focus on cleaning while listening in. "Hello, Brittany," Ashley said, stepping away slightly. "No, she doesn't suspect anything yet." "What do you mean you told him?" "Brittany, we agreed this would stay between us." Jennifer's blood ran cold. Brittany had been her best friend, at least 3 years ago. Could it be that... "Look, it doesn't matter anymore," Ashley continued on the phone. "The important thing is, she's never coming back. Michael is completely convinced she cheated on him." Jennifer felt her legs go weak. Her suspicions were being confirmed in a way she never imagined. Not only did Ashley know the truth, but apparently Brittany was involved too. "Are you done there?" asked Ashley, hanging up the phone and turning to her. "Almost, ma'am, just need to mop the floor." "Then hurry up. I have guests arriving." As she finished cleaning, Jennifer planned her next move. She needed to find out more about Brittany and Ashley's involvement, but how could she do it without raising suspicion? The answer came the following week, when Michael mentioned they'd be traveling over the weekend. "Mrs. Johnson, you won't need to come on Saturday or Sunday. We'll be away," he said Friday morning. "All right, Mr. Michael. Safe travels." But Jennifer had no intention of staying home. She knew where Michael kept the spare key, and she'd finally have enough time to investigate without rushing. On Saturday afternoon, she returned to the house. This time not as a cleaner, but as a detective in her own life. She started in the couple's bedroom, searching places she'd never looked before. It was in Ashley's nightstand drawer that she found what she was looking for. A small box held flash drives, papers, and, to her horror, more photos of herself. But these were different from the ones they'd used to accuse her. They were old photos, from when she and Michael were still together, digitally altered to create the incriminating images. "My God," she whispered, realizing the extent of the setup. She kept searching and found a notebook with notes. It was Ashley's handwriting, but it talked about plans to eliminate Jennifer from Michael's life. The dates showed the plan had started long before the so-called betrayal was discovered. But the most shocking discovery was at the end of the notebook. There was a list of phone numbers, and one of them was Brittany's. Next to it was written, "Payment made, $5,000. Jennifer sat on the bed trying to process the information. Her best friend had been paid to help frame her and destroy her life. The sound of a car in the garage made her jump. They were back early. Quickly, she put everything back, but in her hurry, she knocked over some papers. She didn't have time to straighten them before hearing the key in the lock. "That's strange," she heard Michael say. "The back door is open." "Must have been the wind," Ashley replied, but her voice sounded nervous. Jennifer hid in the ensuite bathroom, trying to control her breathing. She needed to get out unseen, but how? "Ashley, there are papers scattered here on your nightstand," Michael said. "What papers?" she asked, and Jennifer could hear the disguised panic in her voice. "These ones." "What's this about a payment to Brittany?" The silence that followed was deafening. Jennifer knew her discovery had been discovered, but maybe that was exactly what needed to happen. "Michael, I can explain," Ashley began. "Explain what? Why do you have photos of Jennifer, and why did you pay Brittany?" Because I needed to make sure you wouldn't go back to her." "Ashley, what the hell are you saying?" "The photos were fake, Michael. I had them made. Jennifer never cheated on you." The sound of something shattering echoed through the room. Jennifer imagined Michael had thrown something against the wall. "You're telling me I kicked the woman I loved out of my life because of your lie? You didn't understand she wasn't good for you. I've loved you since high school, Michael. Always loved you, but you only had eyes for her. 3 years, Ashley. 3 years of my life thinking the woman I wanted to marry had betrayed me. And they were the best 3 years of my life," she shot back, no longer hiding the truth. "You were finally with me." Based on a lie. The sound of footsteps approached the bathroom. Jennifer had no way to escape. The door opened, and Michael found her there, still dressed as a cleaner, with tears streaming down her face. "Jennifer?" he whispered, as if seeing a ghost. "Hi, Michael," she replied, removing the scarf from her head and letting her hair down. Ashley appeared behind him, pale as a sheet of paper. You're Mrs. Johnson," said Michael, still processing the information. "I needed to prove my innocence," Jennifer explained, stepping out of the bathroom. "I needed to get my life back. How long have you been working here?" 2 months. Michael ran his hand through his hair, a gesture Jennifer knew well. He did it whenever he was nervous or confused. 2 months cleaning the house of the man who kicked you out of his life, sir," he murmured. "Why?" "Because I knew you couldn't have faked those photos alone. Someone tricked you, and I needed to find out who." "And you did," said Ashley with a bitter laugh. "Congratulations, Jennifer. You managed to destroy my relationship." "You destroyed mine first," Jennifer shot back, finally finding the courage to face her. "And you destroyed 3 years of Michael's life, too." He was happy with me. "Happy?" Michael turned to Ashley. "I spent 3 years feeling guilty for not being able to fully trust any woman. 3 years thinking my judgment of people was completely broken." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now back to the story. The argument went on for another hour, with Ashley trying to justify herself and Michael swinging between anger and disbelief. Jennifer stayed silent most of the time, watching the man she still loved struggle with the truth. Finally, Ashley left, but not before threatening to tell everyone that Jennifer had lied about her identity to get the job. "Go ahead," said Jennifer. "Tell them I lied so I could prove you lied first." When they were alone, the silence in the house felt heavier than any scream. Michael sat on the living room sofa, where Jennifer had spent so many hours cleaning, and she remained standing, unsure what to do. 3 years, he finally said. 3 years wasted because of a lie. They weren't completely wasted, Jennifer said softly. You built a career, grew as a person. Without you. Without me. He looked at her then, really looked, and Jennifer saw that the 3 years had changed Michael too. He was thinner, with lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before. How did you manage to work here every day? he asked. How could you see me with someone else and say nothing? Because I needed the truth more than I needed revenge. And now that you have the truth. Jennifer hesitated. All those months planning this moment, she had imagined feeling vindicated, victorious. But all she felt was an immense emptiness. Now I don't know, she answered honestly. Jennifer, No, she interrupted. Don't say you're sorry. Not now. But I am. I'm sorry I didn't trust you. Sorry I didn't investigate further. Sorry I believed the photos without giving you a chance to explain. You had proof, Michael. Convincing proof. Anyone would have believed it. But I wasn't just anyone. I was your boyfriend for 5 years. I knew you better than anyone. Knew? No, he corrected. Even after 3 years, even after everything, I still know you better than anyone. Jennifer felt her eyes fill with tears. For 3 years, she had dreamed of this moment of revenge, but now that it was happening, all she wanted was to turn back time and stop any of it from happening. I have to go, she said, grabbing the bag where she kept her cleaning supplies. Jennifer, wait. No, Michael. I got what I came for. I got the truth. Now I need to figure out what to do with it. And what will you do? I don't know. Maybe nothing. Maybe it's too late to fix what's broken. It's never too late. For some things it is. She headed for the door, but Michael caught up to her in the hallway. Where are you staying? He asked. Why do you want to know? Because for 3 years I asked myself every day if you were okay, if you were safe, if you were happy. And now you know that for 2 months I was right here cleaning your house and you didn't even recognize me. You've changed so much. Life does that to us. Michael reached out as if to touch her, but she stepped back. No, said Jennifer, not yet. When? I don't know if there will be a when, Michael. She left the house and he didn't try to stop her. On the street, Jennifer finally let the tears fall freely. 3 years of pain, of humiliation, of rebuilding her life, and now the truth was out. But why didn't she feel better? In the days that followed, Michael tried to reach out several times. Calls, messages, even a bouquet of flowers was delivered to her home. But Jennifer wasn't ready to talk to him. Instead, she decided to confront the other person responsible for her pain. Brittany. She found her former best friend at a coffee shop downtown on a Thursday afternoon. Brittany didn't see her coming and nearly choked on her coffee when Jennifer sat down across from her. Jennifer, you scared me, she said, trying to sound natural. How are you? I know everything, Brittany. The fake smile vanished from the other woman's face. What are you talking about? The $5,000 Ashley paid you to frame me. Brittany fell silent for a long moment, nervously fidgeting with her purse strap. How did you find out? Does it matter? Jennifer, you have to understand. Understand what? That my best friend since we were teenagers betrayed me for money. It wasn't just about the money, Brittany said, finally finding the courage to look her in the eye. I was going through a hard time. Jason had lost his job, I was pregnant, we couldn't pay the bills. And that justifies destroying my life. I didn't know it would be so serious. Ashley said she just wanted to scare you, to make Michael jealous. She said you'd reconcile in a few weeks, and that it would even strengthen your relationship in the end. And you believed that? I wanted to believe it, Brittany admitted, because I needed that money. You watched me get kicked out of my home, Brittany. You watched me lose everything. Did it ever cross your mind to tell the truth? It did, many times, but the longer it went on, the harder it got, and then you disappeared. I didn't disappear. You just never bothered to look for me. Because I was ashamed. Ashamed. Jennifer felt the anger rising in her chest. You betrayed our 15-year friendship for $5,000, and you're ashamed. Jennifer, please, forgive me. I know I was wrong. I know I did a terrible thing, but can't you try to understand? Understand? You want me to understand that when you needed money, the first thing you thought of was hurting me? It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that, Brittany. You had other options. You could have asked me for help or your family or even taken out a loan, but you chose to make money by destroying my life. Brittany started crying, but Jennifer felt no pity. The worst part, Jennifer continued, is that for 3 years, I blamed myself. I thought maybe I had done something to deserve it. I thought maybe Michael was right not to trust me. Jennifer, 3 years, Brittany. 3 years of my life were wasted because of your greed. I can fix this. I can talk to Michael, explain everything. I've already explained everything to him. So, are you back together? That's none of your business. Jennifer stood up to leave, but Brittany grabbed her arm. Please don't go like this. You were my best friend for 15 years. That has to count for something. It counted for $5,000 to you. Jennifer, please, let go of my arm, Brittany. Will you ever forgive me? Jennifer looked at her for a long moment. She saw the woman who had been her confidant, her heart's sister, who knew all her secrets and dreams. But she also saw the person who had been willing to sell her out for money. Maybe one day, she finally said, but not today, and maybe never. She walked out of the coffee shop, leaving Brittany crying alone, and for the first time since discovering the truth, she felt a little better. But her peace didn't last long. When she got home, she found Michael waiting at her apartment door. How did you find out where I live? She asked. I asked Mrs. Wilson from the corner. She said you've lived here for 2 years. And why are you here? Because I need to talk to you. For real this time. Jennifer hesitated, but finally opened the door and let him in. The apartment was small and simple, very different from the house they had shared. It's cozy, Michael said, looking around. It's what I can afford. Jennifer, about the other day's conversation. Michael, I already told you I'm not ready for this. I know, but I am. Ready for what? To fight for you. To try to earn your trust back. To prove what we had was worth it and could be again. Jennifer sat on the couch, suddenly feeling tired. 3 years, Michael. 3 years have passed. We've changed, I've changed. I've changed too, but my feelings for you haven't. And mine? I don't know. That's what I want to find out. What if you find out they've changed? What if you find out I don't love you anymore? Then I'll accept it and try to move on, but I need to try. Why? Because for 3 years, I carried the guilt of loving someone who betrayed me. Now I've learned I carried the guilt of losing the person I loved most because I believed a lie. I need to know if there's still a chance for us. Jennifer looked at him, seeing the sincerity in his eyes. He was the same man she had loved for 5 years, yet different. More mature, perhaps, more careful with his words. What about Ashley? It ended the same day I found out the truth. I couldn't spend another minute with someone capable of such a big lie. What if I say I need time? I'll wait. What if I say I don't know if I can ever trust you again? I'll try to prove you can. What if I say I might never forget the pain of these 3 years? Then I'll try to help you heal it. Jennifer felt tears welling up again. For so long she had dreamed of hearing these words, but now that she was, everything felt more complicated than she'd imagined. I've built a life, Michael, she finally said. A small life, but mine. I have my job, my routines, my independence. I don't know if I want to give that up again. I'm not asking you to give up anything. I'm asking for a chance to be part of the life you've built. And if it doesn't work? What if it does? Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing, they sat in silence for a few minutes, each lost in thought. Finally, Jennifer stood up and went to the kitchen, returning with 2 glasses of water. Do you want to know how these 3 years were for me? She asked, handing him a glass. If you want to tell me. The first 6 months were the worst. I couldn't understand how you had believed those photos so easily, how you had kicked me out of the house without even giving me a chance to explain. Michael lowered his eyes, clearly feeling guilty. I spent sleepless nights going over our entire relationship, trying to find signs that you doubted me, trying to understand if I had done something to deserve that. Jennifer, let me finish, she interrupted him. After 6 months, I realized that dwelling on the past wouldn't get me anywhere, so I started rebuilding my life. I took a business administration course, got a job at a small company, rented this apartment. And were you happy? Was I? She laughed humorlessly. I learned to live. I learned I could be independent, that I could support myself, that I could make my own decisions without depending on anyone. That's good. It is. But I also learned that I could never fully trust anyone again. I could never fully open up to another person again. Did you have other relationships? I tried. A few dates, a couple of attempts at something serious. But whenever things started getting serious, I remembered how easily you believed I had betrayed you, and I shut down. Michael set his glass on the table and leaned forward. Jennifer, I know I can't undo these 3 years. I know I can't erase the pain you felt, but I can try. Try what? Convince me you've changed? Prove to me that you trust me now? No, I can't prove that with words. Only with actions, with time, with patience. And are you willing to do that? Even if it takes years? Even if it takes the rest of my life? The sincerity in his voice touched her in a way she hadn't expected. For 3 years she had imagined this moment in different ways, sometimes as sweet revenge, where she would reject him just as he had rejected her. Other times as a fairy tale, where they would reunite and everything would go back to how it was before. But reality was more complicated than any fantasy she had created. I need to think, she finally said. How much time do you need? I don't know. Maybe weeks, maybe months. And during that time, would you let me be part of your life? As a friend, at least. Jennifer hesitated. The rational part of her mind said it was risky, that she had fought hard to build her independence, and letting Michael back into her life could ruin everything. But the emotional part, the part that still held on to 5 years of love for that man, whispered that it might be worth trying. As a friend, she said finally. Nothing more for now. As a friend, he agreed, and the smile that spread across his face was the first genuine smile she had seen since they reunited. In the weeks that followed, Michael kept his word. He called occasionally, always respecting the boundaries she had set. Sometimes they met for coffee, always in public places, always with careful conversations that avoided touching on deep wounds. Jennifer found she enjoyed his company. Michael had always been a good conversationalist, and the 3 years had only refined that quality. He talked about his work as an architect, the projects he was developing, the books he was reading. She, in turn, shared about her routine at the company where she worked, the French class she had started, the small pleasures she had discovered in her independent life. It was strange and familiar at the same time, like rediscovering a song you once loved but hadn't heard in years. A month after they had reconnected, Michael made an unexpected invitation. There's an art exhibition at the Metropolitan Arts Center. Would you like to go with me on Saturday? Jennifer hesitated. Going to an exhibition together seemed like a step beyond the casual friendship they had established. As friends, he quickly added, noticing her hesitation. As friends, she agreed. The exhibition was about contemporary Brazilian art, something that had always interested them both. As they walked through the rooms, commenting on the pieces, Jennifer found herself relaxing for the first time in a long while. Remember that exhibition we went to in Miami? Michael asked, stopping in front of an abstract painting. The one where you said you didn't understand anything about modern art? And you spent 2 hours explaining every piece to me. And you pretended to understand everything to impress me. I didn't pretend. I really enjoyed seeing art through your eyes. It was a good memory, one of many they had shared. For years, Jennifer had avoided thinking about those memories because they brought pain. But now, with Michael by her side, they came back naturally, without the weight of bitterness. Jennifer, he said as they were leaving the exhibition. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. During these 3 years, did you think about me? Every day, she answered without hesitation. And you? Every day. They stopped in the middle of the sidewalk, looking at each other. For a moment, Jennifer felt as if the 3 years had disappeared, as if they were once again the passionate couple they used to be. But then a siren sounded in the street, bringing her back to reality. It's getting late, she said. I need to go home. I'll take you. You don't have to. I know I don't have to, but I want to. On the way to her apartment, they stayed silent. But it was a comfortable silence, not the tense silence of their early conversations. Jennifer, Michael said when they arrived at her building, thank you for today, for giving me this chance. Thank you for respecting my boundaries. I always will. She was about to get out of the car when he spoke again. Can I tell you something? Of course. During these 3 years, whenever I passed by a place we used to go together, whenever I heard a song you liked, whenever I saw something I knew would make you laugh, I thought about calling you. I even picked up the phone many times. Why didn't you call? Because I thought you hated me, and maybe I deserved your hatred. I never hated you, Michael, she said softly. I was hurt, angry, disappointed, but I never hated you. And now I don't know what I feel. That's okay. You don't have to know right now. She got out of the car, but before closing the door, she leaned in to look at him. Michael? Yes? Thank you for not giving up on me. I'll never give up on you, Jennifer. Never again. That night, alone in her apartment, Jennifer found herself thinking about Michael more than she had allowed herself in years. For the first time since discovering the truth, she began seriously considering the possibility of giving their relationship another chance. But there were still wounds that needed to heal, questions that needed answers. The following Monday, she decided to seek professional help. She booked an appointment with a psychologist a co-worker had recommended. I don't know if I'm ready to forgive, she said during the first session. I don't know if I can trust him again. And do you need to know that right now? Asked the psychologist, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes. He's waiting for an answer. But who said you have to give a definitive answer now? Why can't you just live in the present and see where it takes you? It was a perspective Jennifer hadn't considered. For weeks, she had pressured herself to make a decision. Forgive or not forgive, go back or not go back. But maybe life was more complex than a binary choice. I'm scared, she admitted. Scared of what? Of getting hurt again. Of opening my heart and finding it still doesn't fully trust me. Of going back to what we were and realizing we're not the same people anymore. What if you don't get hurt? What if you find you can build something even better than before? What if we can't? Then at least you'll know you tried. The therapy sessions helped Jennifer sort through her feelings and fears. She began to understand that her hesitation to forgive Michael wasn't just about him. It was also about herself. About the fear of losing the independence she'd fought so hard to gain. Meanwhile, Michael remained a steady, respectful presence in her life. He called to ask about her day, sent funny texts when he knew she was stressed at work, and showed up with hot coffee when she left her French class. Small gestures, but they showed he truly paid attention to her life and cared about her well-being. One day, as they sat together at the coffee shop, Jennifer asked a question she'd held onto for weeks. Michael, you said you could never fully trust another woman after me. How can I be sure that won't happen again with me? You can't, he answered honestly. Just like I can't be sure you won't leave me again if things get hard. I never left you. You pushed me away. I know. But what I mean is, relationships always involve risk. They always require trust. The difference is now I know the cost of not trusting. And what's that cost? Losing the person I love most in life. The sincerity in his voice moved her deeply. Jennifer realized that for the first time in years, she was starting to lower her defenses. I still love you, Michael, she said suddenly, surprising herself. I know, he replied softly, and I still love you too. But love isn't enough, is it? No. Love needs trust, respect, communication. And do you think we can rebuild that? I think we can try. What if we can't? Then at least we'll know we tried honestly. That night, Jennifer made a decision. She called Michael and asked him to come over. "Did something happen?" he asked, worried by the seriousness in her voice. "We need to talk." When he arrived, she was more nervous than she'd been in years. "Michael, I've thought a lot about all of this. About us, about what happened, about what we could have in the future. And I want to try." "Try what?" "Us. I want to try rebuilding our relationship, but with some conditions." "What conditions?" "First, we take it slow, very slow. I don't want you moving in. I don't want to live at your place. I don't want to merge our lives like nothing happened." "I understand." "Second, I want to keep going to therapy, and I think you should too. Alone and maybe someday, together." "I agree." "Third, if at any point I feel it's not working, that the wounds are too deep to heal, you have to accept my decision. And if I feel it's not working, then you have the right to walk away too." Michael was silent for a moment, taking it all in. "Fair conditions," he said finally. "Do you want to start now?" "What do you mean?" "Our first official date back." Jennifer smiled for the first time in ages. "I think we just had our first official date back. So can I kiss you?" "No," she said, still smiling. "We're not there yet." "When will we be?" "I don't know. We'll figure it out together." The months that followed were an emotional roller coaster for both of them. There were good days when they could talk for hours without reopening old wounds. There were difficult days when a misplaced word or a misunderstood silence reminded them of all the pain they had caused each other. Therapy helped a lot. Jennifer learned to express her fears without completely shutting down, and Michael learned to handle his own guilt without becoming overprotective. They established rituals, weekly meetings to talk about how the reconciliation process was going, without fear of hurting or being hurt by the truth. "How did you feel this week?" they would ask each other. "I was scared on Tuesday when you didn't answer my text for 3 hours," Jennifer might reply. "I was in a meeting, but I understand your fear. Next time, I'll let you know if I can't respond." Or, "I felt insecure when you mentioned your co-worker," Michael might say. "He's just a co-worker, but I understand your insecurity. Do you want to meet him?" These were tough but necessary conversations. Slowly, they rebuilt the trust that had been broken. Their first kiss happened 4 months after they decided to try again. They were walking in the park where they used to go when they were dating, talking about weekend plans, when Jennifer suddenly stopped and looked at him. "What is it?" Michael asked. "Now," she said. "Now what?" "Now you can kiss me." It was a hesitant kiss at first, as if both were afraid of breaking something fragile and precious that had been rebuilt between them. But then it deepened, filled with 3 years of longing and months of hope. When they pulled apart, both were crying. "I missed you," Michael whispered. "I missed you too." The first "I love you" came 6 months later, on a night when they were cooking together in her apartment. Michael was telling a funny story about a client when Jennifer interrupted him. "I love you," she said, as if the words had escaped her lips without permission. "I love you too," he replied without hesitation. "I know, but now it's different." "How so?" "Now it's a choice, not just a feeling." Michael understood exactly what she meant. The love they had for each other had been tested, broken, and rebuilt. It was no longer the naive passion of young people who thought love alone could overcome any obstacle. It was the mature love of people who knew the value of trust and the price of betrayal. A year after they reunited, Michael made an unusual proposal. "I want you to move in with me," he said. "Michael, we've talked about this before." "No, let me finish. I don't want you to move into my house. I want us to find a new home, one that's ours. A place with no memories of the past, where we can start fresh." Jennifer considered it. Her independence had been crucial to her healing, but maybe now she was ready to share her life without losing herself. "Can I think about it?" "Of course. What if I want to keep my apartment?" "Why?" "As my own space. Somewhere I can go if I need room to breathe." Do you think you'll need that? I don't know, but I like knowing the option is there. Then keep your apartment. The house they found was small, but had a garden where Jennifer could plant the flowers she'd always wanted. Michael built a workshop in the back, where he could work on personal projects. The move wasn't easy. There were arguments over little things, how to organize the kitchen, what shows to watch, how to split chores. But these were normal couple disagreements, not the bitter clashes of the past. "I think we're making it," said Jennifer one night, as they lay in their new bed in their new home. "Making what?" "Being happy again." "Are you happy?" "I am." "And you?" "Happier than I deserve to be." "Michael." "It's true. I almost destroyed the best thing that ever happened to me because of my insecurity. Ashley and Brittany destroyed it, not you. I let them destroy it. I should have trusted you more. And I should have fought harder to prove my innocence. We both made mistakes, but we also learned. We did." 2 years after their reunion, Michael proposed to Jennifer. It wasn't a grand gesture with fireworks and crowds. It happened on an ordinary afternoon while they were assembling furniture for the living room. "Marry me," he said suddenly, in the middle of an argument about which screw to use. "What?" "Marry me, Jennifer." "Now you're asking." "I'm asking now, I'll ask tomorrow, I'll ask forever." "Why?" "Because I want to spend the rest of my life proving I deserve your trust. Because I want to grow old with you. Because I want our story to have a happy ending. What if it doesn't? Then at least we'll have tried." Jennifer looked at the man in front of her. He wasn't the young man she'd fallen in love with 8 years ago. He was someone more mature, more careful, more aware of what they had. "Yes," she said. "Yes?" "Yes, I'll marry you." The wedding was small, just close family and a few dear friends. Brittany wasn't invited. During their reconciliation, Jennifer had tried to forgive her too, but she realized some betrayals ran too deep to ever fully heal. Ashley, they later learned, had moved to another city. Sometimes Jennifer wondered if she felt remorse for what she'd done, but she decided it didn't matter. What mattered was that she and Michael had found their way back to each other. "Do you regret anything?" Michael asked on their wedding night. "Disguising myself as a cleaner?" "Everything. Coming back, giving me a second chance." "Sometimes," she answered honestly. "Sometimes I think it would have been easier to move on, to build a whole new life with someone else." "Why didn't you?" "Because easier isn't always better, and because some people are worth fighting for, even when they don't deserve it." "Do I deserve you now?" "You're trying to, every day." "And is that enough?" "For now it is." 5 years after their reunion, Jennifer was pregnant with their first child. As they waited in the doctor's office to hear the baby's heartbeat, she thought about how much life had changed. If someone had told her on that morning 3 years earlier, when she'd disguised herself as a cleaner to enter Michael's house, that she'd be here, married to him and expecting their child, she wouldn't have believed it. "What are you thinking about?" Michael asked, noticing her silence. "How sometimes the worst things that happen to us end up leading us places we never imagined. Do you think going through all that was worth it?" "No, it was awful, but it made us better people." "What if we'd gotten married the first time 8 years ago? Maybe we wouldn't have lasted. We were too naive. And now? Now we know the value of what we have." When they heard the baby's heartbeat, strong and steady, they both cried. They were tears of joy, but also relief. Relief that they'd found their way back, that they'd rebuilt what had been broken, that they had a second chance to be happy together. "What should we name them?" Michael asked. "If it's a boy, Hope," said Jennifer. "Hope? Because that's what brought us back. The hope that some broken things can be fixed. And if it's a girl, Hope. Why? Because we won. We won against distrust, fear, and resentment. We won against everyone who thought we wouldn't make it." Michael held her hand, intertwining their fingers as they had done for so many years. "I love you, Jennifer. I love you too, Michael. Forever. Forever." It was a promise they both knew would be tested by the years to come. There would be challenges, arguments, moments of doubt, but they also knew they had built a solid foundation of trust and communication that could weather any storm. Their baby was born on a spring morning, a healthy, loud little girl who filled their lives with a joy they hadn't even known was possible. They named her Hope, as they had planned. "She has your eyes," Michael said, holding his daughter for the first time. "And your stubborn nose," Jennifer replied, laughing. "Do you think she'll forgive our mistakes? Do you think we'll make mistakes? I'm sure we will. Then we'll teach her that everyone makes mistakes. But what matters is saying sorry and trying to make things right. Like we did. Like we did." Years passed. Hope grew up in a house full of love and honesty. When she was old enough to understand, Jennifer and Michael told her their story, a child-friendly version, but with no lies. "You broke up because Daddy didn't trust Mommy?" she asked at 6. "Yes," Michael answered, "and it was the biggest mistake of my life. But you got back together." "We did, because we learned that real love doesn't give up easily," Jennifer said. "And you'll never break up again?" "We'll try very, very hard to make sure that doesn't happen," Michael replied. "But if it ever does, you need to know it won't be your fault, and we'll both always love you." "I know," Hope said with the innocent wisdom of children. "You love each other too much to ever break up again." And she was right. Jennifer and Michael never separated again. They had 2 more children, a boy named Ethan and another girl named Olivia. They faced financial struggles, health issues, the loss of parents, and their kids' rebellious teenage years. But they never again doubted the love they shared or their ability to overcome any obstacle together. At their silver anniversary celebration, 25 years after reuniting, Jennifer looked at Michael and still saw the man she had fallen for decades ago. But she also saw the man who had grown beside her, who had learned from his mistakes, who had chosen every day to be worthy of her love. "If you could go back in time," he asked her that night, "what would you change?" "Nothing," she answered without hesitation. "Not even the 3 years apart?" "Not even the 3 years apart. They made us who we are today. And do you like who we are today?" "I love who we are today." "Even after all the hardships?" "Especially after all the hardships." End of story. Now, tell me what you thought of this story of overcoming and forgiveness. Do you believe Jennifer made the right choice giving Michael a second chance? Do you know anyone who's been through a similar situation? Share your honest thoughts in the comments. I love reading your experiences and reflections on these life stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss other heartfelt stories like this one.